Have you ever worked so hard for something, only to feel empty when you finally got it? That quiet ache inside, the one that whispers, "Is this all there is?" It isn't failure. Sometimes, it's life's way of showing you that you've been looking in the wrong place. We spend our days chasing success, recognition, and perfection, believing they'll bring meaning. But true purpose isn't found in reaching the top. It's discovered in the small, unseen moments, in the quiet ways we touch the lives around us. This is the story of Daniel, a young man who had everything he thought he wanted, yet felt nothing inside. Until one day, he met a wise old man who gave him a simple task, a cracked bucket, and a lesson that would change the way he saw life forever. Daniel was known in his village as a strong and determined young man. From sunrise to sunset, he worked harder than anyone, building, striving, always chasing something just out of reach. People admired him. They called him successful. But when the applause faded and the night grew quiet, Daniel felt an emptiness he couldn't explain. He had achieved everything he thought would make him happy. Yet, deep inside, he felt hollow. Each morning he woke with the same question echoing in his mind. What's the point of all this? One day, after finishing his work, Daniel sat alone by the riverbank, watching the water flow endlessly past. The peace of the world around him only made his restlessness louder. That's when an old man's voice broke the silence. "You seem lost, my boy," the man said gently. Daniel looked up and saw him, a frail but kind-eyed elder named Eli, known by many as a wise soul who helped those searching for meaning. Desperate for answers, Daniel replied, "I've worked all my life to be happy, but the more I achieve, the emptier I feel." Eli nodded softly, as if he already understood. "Then perhaps," he said, "you've been looking in the wrong direction." The next morning, Daniel decided to visit Eli at his small cottage near the edge of the forest. The air was quiet, and the world seemed slower there, as if time itself paused to listen. Eli greeted him with a warm smile. "So, you wish to find meaning?" he asked. Daniel nodded. "Yes, I've tried everything, but nothing fills this emptiness inside." Eli thought for a moment, then walked over to an old wooden table. From beneath it, he lifted a dusty, cracked bucket and handed it to Daniel. "If you truly wish to understand," he said, "take this bucket and fill the well near the mountain every morning for the next 7 days." Daniel looked at the bucket, confused. The cracks ran deep. Water would surely leak out before he reached the well. "But this bucket is broken," he protested. Eli smiled kindly. "Do it anyway, and when you return, tell me what you've learned." Daniel didn't understand the task, but something in the old man's calm voice made him agree. And so, his journey began, not knowing that this simple act would reveal the greatest truth of his life. The next morning, Daniel set out at sunrise, the cracked bucket swinging from his hand. The path to the well was long and steep, and with each step, the water slowly leaked out through the cracks. By the time he arrived, only a few drops remained. He looked down at the nearly empty bucket, frustration rising in his chest. "What's the point of this?" he muttered. Still, he filled it again and began the walk back. But once more, by the time he reached Eli's cottage, the water was gone. Day after day, Daniel repeated the same task, walking the same path, carrying the same leaking bucket. The more he tried, the more he failed. Each day ended with disappointment, and each night, his heart grew heavier. By the 7th morning, he could barely bring himself to continue. His hands were sore, his spirit tired. Yet, out of respect for the old man, He decided to complete the task one last time. As he climbed the rocky path, the bucket dripping in rhythm with his footsteps, he whispered, "I've learned nothing. I've wasted my time." When he finally reached Eli's home, the bucket was once again empty, and Daniel's patience was gone. Daniel dropped the bucket on the ground and said in defeat, "I've done what you asked, Eli, every single day, but I failed." The water never stayed in the bucket. It all leaked away before I could reach the well. Eli didn't respond immediately. Instead, he smiled gently and said, "Daniel, before you call it failure, look back at the path you've walked." Daniel turned around slowly. His eyes widened. The once dry, dusty trail he had walked for 7 days was now lined with wildflowers and fresh green grass. The cracks that had frustrated him so much had quietly been watering the earth along the way. Eli's voice broke the silence. "You see, Daniel, while you were focused on what you lost, you couldn't see what you were giving. You didn't fill the well, but you brought life to the path." In that moment, Daniel's eyes filled with tears. The task hadn't been meaningless. It had been beautiful all along. He just hadn't looked closely enough to see it. Eli walked beside Daniel, his steps slow and steady. "My boy," he said softly, "this is how life works. We all carry cracks, our flaws, our mistakes, our struggles. But those cracks don't make us useless. They make us human. They allow our light, our kindness, and our love to pour out into the world." Daniel stood silently, watching the flowers sway in the breeze. Each one seemed to whisper a truth he had long forgotten, that even when we feel broken, we are still capable of creating beauty. "You were so focused on your empty bucket," Eli continued, "that you didn't notice how much life you were giving with every step. The value of your journey wasn't in the water you carried. It was in what you left behind." Daniel realized then that meaning isn't always loud or visible. Sometimes it's hidden in the quiet difference we make in other people's lives, even when we don't notice it ourselves. He looked at the flowers again and smiled for the first time in a long while. His cracks hadn't ruined his journey. They had defined it. The next morning, Daniel walked the same path again, but this time, his steps felt lighter. The air smelled of fresh blossoms, and sunlight danced across the petals that had bloomed because of him. He still carried the cracked bucket, but he no longer saw it as broken. To him, it was a symbol, a reminder that even the imperfect can create something beautiful. As he passed through the village, he noticed small things he'd never paid attention to before: a child laughing, an old woman smiling, the sound of birds at dawn. Life hadn't changed, but he had. For the first time, Daniel no longer needed to chase happiness. He found it in the quiet meaning behind his actions, in the small ripples of kindness and effort that shaped the world around him. The emptiness he once felt had been replaced with peace, not because his journey was perfect, but because he finally understood it never had to be. Daniel's story reminds us that life's meaning isn't measured by achievements or recognition. It's found in the quiet ways we give, love, and endure. Sometimes, the moments that feel the most pointless are the ones shaping us the most. We are all like Daniel's cracked bucket, imperfect, flawed, and uncertain. But those very cracks are what allow our compassion, effort, and light to flow out into the world. What you see as weakness might be the reason someone else blooms. True purpose isn't about filling a bucket. It's about walking the path. It's about knowing that even when you can't see the results, your journey still matters. And perhaps, one day, when you look back, You'll see that every drop you thought was lost had been watering something beautiful all along. So, when life feels pointless, remember Daniel's cracked bucket. You may not see the impact of your steps right now, but every act of effort, every small kindness, and every drop of love you give is watering something unseen, something growing quietly along your path. Purpose isn't something you find. It's something you create, moment by moment, choice by choice, step by step. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to share it with someone who might need this reminder today. And tell us in the comments, what's one part of your life that once felt broken but helped something beautiful grow? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more tales that inspire, heal, and remind you that even the smallest steps can change a life.